3 kinds of men you should never date. Neither men nor women are perfect. We are actually quite far from it. We are all full of flaws and we go through times where we are very difficult to endure, even for the people who love us the most. However, there are certain personality traits that are very detrimental to emotional relationships. These are the people we should never date. They basically have 2 main challenges. We never end up knowing a person completely, and people change. A man may seem completely charming at first, but you may later find yourself wondering where that prince went. Or vice versa, a person can seem completely boring, but then over time you find a hidden charm in them. You are in love when you realize that the other person is unique. Jorge Luis Borges. It is certainly true that some people have a very poor adjustment to their love and that of others. Maybe they can't love, or they can't stand being loved, or they're trapped in their own health, anger, or fear. In these cases, if you don't work a miracle, that relationship will end up failing. So below we will show you 3 kinds of men you shouldn't date and are better off staying away from. 1. Men who go from one extreme to the other. This is the kind of guy who goes from the sweetest tenderness to the most violent aggression, often without any reason to have caused this change. You can never really explain what happened. One day they love you to death and drown you in flattery and kisses, but then the next day they reject you in a caustic and sometimes cruel way. They tend to be impulsive. Without realizing how, you begin to experience a profound ambivalence regarding them. You melt when they shows their loving side. You cannot imagine a more loving and committed man. You want to love him and feel that he is the only true love you have ever dreamed of. So when the monster sleeping inside him wakes up, you experience the complete opposite. Rejection and even hatred because of his instability or fear because he seems unpredictable. This kind of man is emotionally draining. They have a deep conflict within them that they have not been able to overcome. They are quite self-centered and therefore do not consider the effects they have on you. This is why you should never date them. The truth is that they are not ready to have an emotional relationship with you or anyone else for that matter. 2. Men you should never date, men who have a habit of lying. There are many kinds of lies. The most obvious have to do with facts or situations that never happened, but living a lie, making promises, and not keeping them, living with circumstances that you don't agree with. These are also ways to fall into falsehood. The liar generally reveals himself, not by the way he lies to you, but by how he does it to others. If he does it to others, you can expect that he will also lie to you. Very often these lies are not easy to detect because there are men who are true professionals when it comes to lying. That is why it is so important for us to pay close attention to how they behave towards others. Someone who constantly lies will make it impossible for trust to flourish in the relationship. It is for this reason that you should never date this type of man. Soon you will find yourself doing grueling detective work to catch him. Or snoop through his stuff to see if he's cheating on you. It is impossible to build a worthwhile relationship with a compulsive liar. 3. Men who make you feel inhibited. These are the kind of men who make you feel like you're always walking on thin ice. They tend to be very critical of what you do or say and even the way you dress. This feature, specific to people who have a lot of success or money and just want a companion that behaves exactly as they want. The truth is that you always feel judged and generally belittled. You think about everything 20 times before you say it. You measure the way you behave when he is with you. And you always have a tense attitude, which prevents you from being spontaneous. Suddenly you become a very quiet person when you are in his presence or you speak. but you are always aware of the expression on his face when you speak. In the most extreme cases, these controlling and narcissistic men also become violent. They believe that the world and everyone in it, especially their partner, should behave as he thinks they should. He is intimidating, whether this is with subtle psychological games or with direct physical pressure. You will never be able to be satisfied with this kind of man.